views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Moms, are you ready to become enlightened, empowered, and stress-free? Well, get ready because you are about to tune into vibrant, powerful moms helping everyday women create an extraordinary life with Debbie Pokornik. Each week, Debbie discusses topics to help you become self-aware, inspired, and on track to create the life you crave. It's time to stop settling and start thriving. And it all begins now on Transformation Talk Radio.
Welcome to the Vibrant Powerful Mom Show. I'm your host, Debbie Pokornik, and my mission is to help you tune in to the vibrant, powerful person you were always meant to be so that you can create a life you love, and by doing so, help the whole planet shift to a more peaceful and loving way of being. My guest today is Brianna Rooney. Brianna is 33 years old. She owns a very successful recruiting firm named Techies. She has 2 houses, a top 100 restaurant, an amazing chef of a husband, an almost 5-year-old son whose name is Diego Danger. Yes, that's his real middle name. That isn't the cutest thing ever. As well as a sweet little 17-month-old daughter, Lima Ariel. Now, when I first chatted with Brianna, which is a few months ago now, she had moved her family down to Mexico for the summer and was working remotely from there, letting her kids soak up the culture, loving her life, and living the dream. As a woman who walks her talk and is passionate about helping other moms do the same thing. Today, she's here to talk to us about how you can be a powerful mother and businesswoman without compromising on either. Brianna, welcome to the Vibrant Powerful Mom Show.
Thank you, Debbie. Wow, great introduction.
It is kind of good. So when we spoke before, you told me how having kids taught you to hold tight to your power. Can you explain that a little further, share what it means?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been recruiting since I've been about 21, 22-ish, and I had my own business at about 24. But yet, let's see, if I'm 33, how old was I, like 28 or whatever, when I had Diego. And so I had already been what I found to be very successful and had already had some employees that were successful as well. And really, me coming back from maternity leave, after having Diego, I was like, you have no other choice but to take efficiency to a whole new level. And that's when I actually think I discovered like my true power, which was, like being able to handle it with no trouble. And I went down significantly in hours per week. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do it? I had a business partner at the time. How are we going to do it? All these things. And I actually succeeded my numbers that first year with less hours. So that's when I was like,
wow.
Whoa, yeah, exactly. So, moms, man, they are powerful. Women are powerful. And then once you put that mom stamp on it, it's like, you're unstoppable.
Yeah. I mean, it always makes me think of the mom who's like carrying the diaper bag and she's got all these things falling out of the diaper bag. I mean, they're not really falling out, but they're all poking out of there. And she's carrying a kid and she's talking on her cell phone and she's locking the door or unlocking the car. And she's doing like 20 things all in that moment.
Oh my God.
I know multitasking is actually very hard on us, but we are also very capable of doing it to a certain extent.
Oh, no, totally. I was actually at Target and this new mom had a brand new baby, 8 weeks old or whatever. She had her 3.5-year-old son. She had the stroller and a cart full of stuff. And I had to turn to her and be like, man, congratulations. And she had this look on her face. She was so happy to hear it, but almost wanted to cry. You know what I mean? It's like one of those moments where she's like, thank you.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't feel accomplished, but I'm like, are you joking? Take a moment. Like, look what you're doing. I think we get all caught up in in our lives and expecting something out of ourselves or thinking other people want this stuff out of you. And it's like, God, you got to
Yeah.
take a moment.
Well, yeah, because I think that we have this really weird picture of what is perfection, what is success, what is
Mhm.
all of these kinds of things. And we can never see ourselves from the outside unless we happen to walk by a mirror. And then likely we focus in on the hair that's out of place or the mascara that's gone down under our eyes. We tend to, notice those little things, whereas everyone else is seeing the whole package. They're going, wow,
Yeah.
look at her. Look at, all of the things that she's doing. So, what have you discovered then to be the key to being a mom and being successful in a career?
So I think first of all is not giving yourself a hard time on either level. The mom level, the career level, and also realizing that they are two separate entities and they should stay that way as much as possible. So, I'm a recruiter, so I am, on my email all the time, and engineers work at all different hours and all that stuff. But when I'm with my kids, I'm with my kids.
Mm.
And, although now I always find it to be rude. I don't know how you feel about this, but like, when everyone's on their phone, right? When they're like having dinner, they're at a restaurant or, stuff like that.
Mhm.
It's like, would you like unwind for a second? Um,
Yes.
but for me, the only reason why if I ever have my phone out, it's only because like, okay, my kids are at school or at daycare, and I just want to make if anything calls, if it's like the school
Mhm.
that calls, I'll pick it up. You know what I mean? But
Exactly.
besides exactly, but besides that, I am Brianna Rooney at work and professionally, and then I get home and I am Brianna Sanchez. I am a mom. I never made that last name switch professionally. I don't know if I did that, because it was like, oh, I'm two different
Ah,
people and I can handle two different things.
right.
But that's, I don't know. It's like a different persona, maybe. I don't know, but it works. It works for me.
Well, that's really cool because I think one of the tricks that I love to teach people is how to shift out of that place of reaction, right? And one of the tricks
Right.
for doing that is to be a different person, pretend someone else is watching you, pretend you're trying out for a role in the movie. Okay, that's 3 different ways to do it. But the point being that when you shift out of your own shoes and into another set of shoes or a different hat or whatever you want to call it,
Mhm.
everything shifts with it and you're able to see things a little bit differently. It allows you sometimes to see things objectively. So I love that
Yeah.
idea. We should all just do that. Hey, keep our maiden name and our married name. I guess it doesn't work
Yeah.
if you don't get married or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah.
So going back to your comment about the phone and people on the phone. So there's actually a term called phubbing. And phubbing is
Okay.
yeah, phubbing. And it's actually where you're snubbing someone by choosing your phone in that moment over them. So,
Yes.
like you said, there's times where you have to. There's times where you put your phone on that table and you say, I'm putting this out. My son wasn't feeling well this morning and the school might be calling me or whatever. And we all get that and we have no trouble with that. You're not snubbing someone when you do that. But other people, they just don't know how to differentiate between that text that comes through and that conversation they're having with that person. And they often will choose that text or whatever it is, a Facebook message, whatever.
Yeah.
They will
Some
choose
Instagram
that
thing.
yeah, over the person that is right there in front of them. So I do have a big problem with that. I used to work a front desk at a bank and I was always, the person who made sure to acknowledge every person, even if I was on the phone, I would acknowledge the person that walked in because nobody likes to be snubbed ever.
Right.
So,
Absolutely. What? I love that you brought that up because I love that word. It drives me wild. And it's funny. And this goes back to why I think, moms always think other moms are judging them. But like I'll be at a park, with my kids. And let's say like I'm on my phone for a second because I don't know, I have to handle this negotiation and there's just no other time. It is what it is. So I'm just kind of checking really quick, really quick. And I'm like, almost want to put a sign on my forehead. I am not on social media. I have to just do this one email. you know?
well, and that's an interesting conversation. I think we have to go there a little bit because the truth is like we all have things going on in our lives. And so sometimes you will take the kids to the park to give them something to do, because you do have that important call coming in, or that, little meeting that you have to have, or whatever. And you figured out a way to do it so that your kids are happy and doing something, right? But
Right.
you also can have the meeting. And so we're not saying that you have to be there 100% of the time for your kids. If, say, you take them to the park, it's better to kind of look at it and say, okay, what is it that I'm doing? And what this all leads to, though, is that whole comment that you just made about moms judging other moms. So you want to dive
Yeah.
into that one a little bit and talk about it?
Yeah, first of all, I think that, a lot people judge and judge, but I feel like the mom judging is like the worst of all kinds, whether it's the stay-at-home mom judging the working mom judging the stay-at-home mom, the one that's on the phone while pushing pushing their kids on the swing, and you're looking over being like, couldn't you talk to this person later? It I think that it just happens, and you don't want it to yourself. Because I'm trying to think. I'm like, do I do this myself? I have I have, like, I'll give an example. I can't help myself. I love Disneyland. I grew up in, like, my parents took me all the time, so I take my kids. So, like, when you see the kids with, like, the little backpacks and what I call a leash, yeah, like, I'm like, oh my God, how could you do that? It's not an animal. So everybody judges.
Yes.
And but yeah, no, you shouldn't. It's like, I don't know their kid. Maybe that kid, flies and runs away,
Yeah.
my kids don't, so I don't understand, but I shouldn't, you just don't, you don't know
Yeah.
any situation, and you don't walk in anyone's shoes, and every single kid is different. And,
Yes.
and it's like every kid's, I work with a couple companies, actually there's one particular, Cognoa, and they deal with figuring out if a kid has autism at a much earlier age, so they can, tackle it and fix it to the best of their ability, whether, it's like at 18 months instead of age 5. So they talk about all those things, and, it's you don't know. And I think that moms in general, it's hard work, man. I got to tell you, being a mom is harder than me being at work. So, so
Absolutely.
yeah, so it's like, regardless of the situation, it's like, if you're doing the best you can with your kids, and you're raising the people who are going to be, our future, there shouldn't be judging.
Yeah. When we can take that judging out, and it's so hard to do, like you say, which I have to add a little funny story into there. My friend, I call her a friend, but she's really more of an acquaintance. I haven't had anything to do with her for quite a few years, but she created the backpack with the leash on it.
Oh, that's funny.
And well, and it's not, she doesn't call it a leash, trust me.
Yeah.
But now, and I hope I get this story straight if she happens to be listening, but she had twins that were always going in opposite directions. They were
Oh
just,
my gosh.
go, 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 up, down, jumping, climbing things. And it just made total sense to her that when I go out, I need a way to keep you with me. And she sure didn't want to drag them by their arms. So, I mean, that's just a beautiful way
So
to
funny.
now
Uh-huh.
reframe that and go, okay, like, here I am judging, but my kids don't run off like that.
Right.
And any parent who's ever had a climber knows that those kids, they climb so quick before you even know that they're gone from your side. They're on top of something. So they're at Costco up on the top shelf of those
Mhm.
racks, and
Mhm.
you're going, oh no, someone get the forklift, right?
Oh my
So,
god.
the point though is a really good one. And that is, we do judge people so much. And I think part of that is actually because of that very prevalent masculine model of work. And this isn't about
Oh,
guys.
shit.
This is that masculine versus feminine, right? And
Oh,
that masculine is about, being very independent, producing at all costs. And it's also about competition. Well, that
yes.
kind of thing creates judgment. It creates that, oh, you know what? I think I'm a little better than you because my kid's not on a leash, or
Mhm.
I'm not on the phone, or whatever the case might be. But when it spreads, well, even in the workplace, it's not helpful. When it spreads beyond the workplace, it creates so many problems. So if we can just instead come at things from a place of compassion, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah,
Huge.
no, yeah, absolutely. That's funny you bring up competition, because I'm in a sales environment. So,
Right.
I am very competitive by nature. So I think that's why it's also very important to separate yourself, from your life. And I don't want to treat my employees like my kids, and I don't want to treat my kids like my employees,
Yes.
So it's like you really do have to try to separate it. And I mean, on a separate level, like I've had my husband at one point in time going like, I'm not your employee. you know, and but at the time, I, of course, being like, well, then I'll act like one. But
Yeah.
it's like, okay, well, wait. I did not want to. I didn't want to go there. Even if he thought it and I didn't think it. It's never something you want to do, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Very true. It's my son who would often say to me, Mom, you're not a social worker right now.
Oh, yeah, that's
And
gotta be
I'm like,
hard.
ooh, okay. But I mean, for me, and my son knew it was safe to do that. And I would take a step back and think about what I was saying.
Yeah,
And
right.
I'd say, I thought I was coming at it from a mom perspective, but you're right. I might have been, going in a bit too much about the eating disorder or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah.
And that
So,
talks about, self-reflection. That's a
mm,
whole other, thing that's
absolutely.
important. That kind of ties in all that. So
Yeah. So, let's just talk a tiny bit more about this work-life balance because you've kind of touched on it, and I just want to make sure that people are actually getting usable pieces that they can take away from
yeah.
it. So I love the idea of kind of changing your hat. You go to work, you're this person, you come home, you change your hat at the door or your shoes or whatever you want to call it, your
Yeah.
name in this case, and you're the other person. What else do you do to make that work?
Well, also with my emails, like I was talking about, yeah, like I said, every now and again, I have something that just can't wait, and I tell my kids. Now, my 17-month-old, she's like, yeah, sure, like she's not, she has no idea
Yeah.
as to what that, but my almost 5-year-old Diego, he does understand, and I look at him and I say, hey, look, I'm never on my phone. Just give me a moment, give me 2 minutes, and he has pretty good. I even have a timer
Mhm.
that we have too of like like this little like music thing, um, which is pretty cool. Or I'll say, hey, I'll turn on like Alexa. I said, all right, after this song, I'm ready to go. So they'll play. So I'm giving them some kind of like concrete, this is how much time I need. I think that's really good. But then also for just the majority, regular emails does not happen until after they go to bed. So,
Oh, okay.
8 o'clock comes on and I go just straight, okay, let me go to my phone really quickly, my laptop, computer, whatever I decide to use at the time, and nail that out and then carry on, and then
Right.
do whatever. And I've noticed that if I don't do it that way, or like, let's just say, all right, they go to bed and I go plop myself on the in front of the TV or, whatever, it's just not efficient. I will never go back to those emails, which causes me the next day to respond to emails in the morning, which slows down that day.
Right.
So, it's all about really like keeping yourself in check, and realizing what's important, what's not. And that if you don't take those moments, then it will just kind of come back to bite you.
Yes. And that doesn't all have to be, I mean, work related. We are talking about work life balance here,
Right.
but
I
it
see.
can be even that phone call, with
Right.
your mom where you're on the phone with her for an hour just chatting, talking about stuff and making
Yeah,
your
sure.
kids wait, which is absolutely fine. But then when you hang up and the phone rings and it's your bestie and they want to talk now for an hour,
Mhm.
you have
Mhm.
to understand, right? There's those little boundaries of saying, no, you know what? I promise the kids I'm going to take them outside, play with them. I'll call you back when I come in or whatever. So
Yeah. Oh,
it's
yeah.
finding that. Yeah, beautiful.
That I do actually. When you bring that up with their friends, I have lunch phone dates. So
Oh,
like
okay.
like it's funny because before kids and how before work was super crazy, would call it whenever we felt like it, right?
Hmm.
But now like we'll be like, okay, hey, what day are you available this week at lunch? And I will go on a walk to go eat somewhere while talking to them.
Yeah.
So it's like that's also because you need you time. Like to not like
Hmm.
to just have kid and work time or just kid time, whatever the situation is, and you're gonna go crazy. So
Absolutely. And if you are married or you have a significant other in your life, you need time for that relationship. That
absolutely.
relationship is your rock, it's your foundation, and
Yeah.
it needs time as well. So,
Yeah.
I love it. I love all of this. So, I really want to give you time to talk about, this life that you've created that you love so much has really come to life from your recruiting business, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
why don't you tell us a bit more about that as it relates to being a mom?
Yeah. So what I've been lucky enough to do, so I've been in the business for about 11 years and I've trained many people. And over the last, I would say 3 to 4 years, yeah, after Diego, I've perfected the training to the point that, I have a very senior manager, Emily Stellick, and Ben Markowitz, who also helps us out as well there. And I wanted to be like, okay, if I'm for some reason not in the office because I don't know that Diego's sick or I have to take him to the dentist or whatever it is, right?
Or you're in Mexico.
Yeah. Well, that I could talk to you about for like an hour. That was the most amazing experience, by the way, to be in Mexico in a way, and my company didn't burn down, and they actually did really, really well.
Nice.
And my kids, I mean, the family time was just priceless.
Right.
Oh my goodness! Now I'm on it. I don't even know what I was saying. Oh yeah,
Sorry.
okay.
I took you off on a tangent there. I didn't mean to, but yeah, no. So going back to the whole, you started this business.
Oh yeah,
You know.
totally. Okay. So anyways, we came up with this training packet of just, it could like almost anyone could go in there and be like, all right, this is exactly what we need to learn. These are like, I do go off on tangents because with recruiting and sales, there are tangents you do go on and there's lots of different situations you can never fully cover. So we ended up saying like, okay, well, now we've figured it out and we've done this really well. Well, we ended up having lots of companies, in the Bay Area. It's the biggest tech hub. So they need a lot of help finding engineers. The competition is crazy. And so there's a lot of recruiters joining the market and not really knowing what they're doing, but knowing that they're needed and they're getting paid extremely well. And the company doesn't know that they don't know what they're doing because the company doesn't know. So
Right.
it ended up being this really big problem. I'd say maybe like a good 2 years ago. And so we ended up having companies ask, hey, Brianna, can you train our recruiters in-house? And then, train them and they'll still work with you, or, if you train them too well, well, then we'll only work with you every now and again. Right. But no, so it's been really great. And then we were like, wait a minute, this can, anyone with the proper training and, I guess desire, motivation, can be a really good recruiter and make a really good living. And they don't have to be in an office, and I'm like hitting, the mom things, the stay-at-home moms, or the moms that are like, hey, I need a more flexible schedule, So,
or even, I just have to interject there. The
yeah.
moms that are at home, like they're finishing up their maternity leave and now they find out they're pregnant and they're not going to go back in between. They're
Right.
not losing their job. They're not really on pause, but they do want some extra cash right now and they're no longer on maternity leave. So they could do something like this.
Right. Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. All you need is a phone and a computer. And to be honest, even like just your computer, because all engineers are, very disconnected computer wise. And I actually had a really good friend of mine who has 2 kids. Actually, they're like 4 days apart with my kids. So that's cool. So she's been in sales forever, like longer than I have, not with what I do, but she's been at the same company. She just feels like she's not, being taken care of anymore. She's just like, kind of hit a ceiling, I guess.
Right.
And she's so good at her job that it's like, they'd start taking advantage of you. It seems to be pretty normal, unfortunately. And so she's like, I can't quit because they give me flexibility with my kids. And I'm like, no, that's not right. Like if that's how they're hanging on to you and taking advantage of you, I have something for you, that you can learn on the side. And if you want to just try it out to see if you like it, because you don't want to leave your stable job, right?
Right.
Here, let me do it for you. But now I didn't, of course, have time to just train her myself if she's not going to work for me, all this stuff. So Emily, Ben, and I came up with the millionairerecruiter.com, which has a 3-hour e-course. Basically, exactly if you were to walk into Techies, how I would train you. And of course, I don't only train people for 3 hours. So you're thinking, okay, well, that doesn't seem right. But it comes with all of the other the packets, the other things I would give, the practice forms, the quizzes, so it comes with a lot of additional stuff. It doesn't only take you 3 hours. You can get through just the talking of it in 3 hours if you want. So anyways, this is what we came up with. We thought it would be super helpful and randomly. So not only is she doing it, but my brother, who I've tried to talk into being a recruiter for years, he's now doing it. Because he was like, oh, wait, that sounds like a great idea. I'm like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
So,
Oh, that's so awesome. So the millionairerecruiter.com, that will be up on my website at empoweringenergy.com on the blog that is attached to this interview. So you can get it from there if for some reason you don't know how to spell it or something like that. And it also will be hooked up on the Transformation Talk radio page to this interview. So the millionairerecruiter.com, that's where you want to go. Brianna has actually quite a few websites. They will all be listed on that blog. So you can check her out thoroughly if you want to.
Thank you.
Brianna, thank you so much for joining us here today. I so appreciate it. And I know it's been a very crazy time for you. You haven't been back from Mexico very long. Your son just started school. There's lots of things going on for you. So thank you for squeezing that time in for us today. And I just want to tell the listener, if you found this to be a little choppy going in and out, we actually waited till Brianna came back to the States to do because of internet connection. And then we've got a really weird internet connection. So I apologize, but I think there's so many gems in here that we're just going to let it ride. So thank you again, Brianna. And a big thank you to you, my listeners, with much respect for you and the journey you are on. This is Debbie Pokornik and her guest, Brianna Rooney, wishing you a vibrant and powerful day.
You've been listening to Vibrant, Powerful Moms with host Debbie Pokornik. If you've enjoyed this show, please give us a shout out and leave us a positive review. To find out more about Debbie and her sisterhood of Vibrant, Powerful Moms, visit empoweringenergy.com. That's empowering with letters NRG.com.